Hey everybody, it's Chris Eads, known online as Wootini, here with another Gay Gamer video podcast. We have a lot to talk about this week, because I wasn't here last time, so I took a week off, and now I have a ton to talk about. Although that's not because I took a week off, so it's 2 weeks worth. Like, literally, there wasn't anything really to talk about last week. It all happened this past week. But last week, I did take a week off because my nieces came over, like I said, and there wasn't really time to shoot a podcast, so I took a week off. I enjoyed my nieces, although I did show them PSVR because I thought they would enjoy that. And it's funny, I showed my younger niece the coral reef experience, and I showed my older niece the shark attack because I didn't want to scare the younger niece and have her be up all night with nightmares. Then I got to deal with that because they were sleeping over, and I was just like, I'm not dealing with nightmares. But then the next day, she wanted to try it again, and she wanted to see the shark attack. So I was like, okay, fine. Because if you have nightmares tonight, you're back home, and your mom and dad can deal with that, and not me. So, and I also showed them, like, the luge game, where you have to, like, you know, tilt to go down the hill and stuff, and that was pretty fun. And then they were still playing it on Sunday afternoon when their parents came to pick them up, and so they insisted that my brother and his wife give it a shot. So they each took a little try, and they were like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. They weren't playing actual games, though. It was just like, you know, the experiences, just so they could see it, you know. I didn't, like, set them up with, like, Batman or something, you know. But having them come over also meant that we couldn't see it until this weekend, which was good, because then it was less crowded. But it also meant that this was the first time that I finally, like, I got my Movie Pass card a couple of weeks ago, and this is the first time that I've actually been able to use it. And I was concerned. I actually went a little earlier to go buy my ticket, because I didn't want it to be, like, 5 minutes before the show's starting, and I'm, like, trying to get the app to work and trying to buy my ticket and running into all kinds of problems. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I went, like, a half an hour beforehand, because the theater's around the corner. And I just ran over there, and I quickly bought my ticket, and it was amazing. At first, it didn't work the first try, actually. I thought that it had gone through, and I tried swiping the card to buy a ticket, and it was like, transaction failed. And I was like, what the huh? And so I went back into the app, and I'm like, okay, it at 1 o'clock, and I was terrified that I was going to press that, and the app was going to be like, you've already seen this movie, you can't see it again. Because you can only see a movie once. But it actually took me to the same screen where it was like, okay, confirm. And I confirmed that this is what I wanted to see. And then this time, the second time, I got another screen with a big check mark on it saying, okay, your card is loaded, you have 30 minutes to buy your ticket. And I'm like, okay, I didn't see that before. So I went and did it again, and this time it went through, and I got my ticket, and I was like, oh my god, that's my, you know. And because it was like Warner Brothers had a thing where there was no special deals, like you couldn't get a bargain matinee, there were no discounts, I guess for the opening week or whatever. Well, no, it's been over a week, so maybe it's, I guess, just no discounts. It was not matinee price, which I think is $9 at this theater, so it was full price ticket, which was $12. So it was a $12 movie ticket that cost me $9.95. And my husband's like, well, you better just make sure that you see at least one movie a month. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, there's always going to be at least one movie a month that I'm going to want to see. And if not, there's that movie where I'm like, I don't want to pay for it, but since I'm already paying for it, I might as well go. And also, like this month, like next week, there's 2 movies coming out that we want to see. And then, I think the week after that, there's nothing. And then the one after that, there's another movie. So it's like, I feel like there's going to be a month where I'm going to see like 5 or 6 movies. So if the next month I see 1 or even none, I'm still evening out, you know, so it's fine. I don't know how MoviePass is going to make their money off this. I feel like this is all some kind of lure to get us to all sign up. And then after a few months, they're going to jack the price back up again. I'd be willing to pay about $20 a month for this. 25 tops. Once you get into 30, then it's getting a little dicey. I think it used to be 50, which is outrageous. Like, that's like a movie a week you'd have to go. And I just don't go see that many movies. And then I would end up seeing movies that I don't actually want to see, and I'd actually go see the Emoji Movie just because I need to get my money's worth out of the $50. That's not happening. So, but I plan on using MoviePass for as long as I can, because it's amazing, and it's super cheap. And I don't know how they're making their money, but I don't care, because I get to go see movies on the cheap. Like, literally now, everything else I see for a month is going to be free. So, now to the topic, which is what I thought would be the only thing that I was going to talk about. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you about It, which was really good. It was really creepy and scary. And what's great is when we went to the theater, there's actually a sign in the theater window that said, no one under the age of 12 will be allowed in to see It, even when accompanied by an adult. Which is amazing. Because there's nothing I hate more than going to see an R-rated horror movie and having people bring in infants and babies and toddlers because they're too lazy or too cheap to get a babysitter. And so they just bring it with them. And then there's like all this screaming and noise and the babies start crying and it's like, what the hell are you doing? And if the kid is an infant, that's bad, because they'll scream and cry. If they're like a toddler, they're going to see murders and blood and gore, and especially with It, there's like scary clown shit going on. So, like, they're going to be traumatized from this. And I can only assume somebody's kid was seriously traumatized during a screening, which forced them to make this rule that no one under the age of 12 will be allowed in to see It at all, even with an adult. So, that's good for them. Because there is a lot of freaky, clown, scary stuff going on in that. I enjoyed it. Afterwards, my husband explained to me why he liked it but didn't love it, because he's more familiar with the book. I read it when it first came out and haven't thought about it since. I mean, I've seen the TV miniseries, but that was also like decades ago, so whatever. And he had some issues, and when he explained to me a couple of things that they changed from the book, I was like, oh, why would they do that? That's much better in the book. But overall, thoroughly entertaining. Lots of scary imagery. I very much enjoyed it. It was very creepy. Some good jump scares. 2 thumbs up for It. Okay, now to what I thought would be my main topic for this week, which is the most recent Nintendo Direct. Like, I thought, oh, I'll just talk about the Nintendo Direct and what I saw and everything. Because, obviously, I was looking forward to Animal Crossing, which they did not talk about. And as someone mentioned on Twitter, they're like, it's more likely that you'll get a specific Animal Crossing Direct at some point. Hopefully soon, because I'm tired of waiting. I know there is a Switch Animal Crossing in development. And I'm assuming that it was a Wii U Animal Crossing in development that they are just porting over to the Switch, and hopefully that's an easy process and they can just polish it. I mean, obviously we're not getting it this holiday season or they would have mentioned it. So I guess the best I can hope for is spring of next year, maybe? Like March, April, I'm thinking, maybe? I feel like they've released some in the spring. Sometimes it comes out in the fall, like November. But then they've released some in, like, you know, March, April. So, fingers crossed? I don't know. I got home from work at 6:30, so I watched, like, the last 15 minutes live. And they talked about Mario Odyssey most of that time, and I don't care about Mario Odyssey. It looks great, it looks beautiful, it looks fun. It's not my bag. Platformers are not my thing. As awesome as it looks, I know if I buy it, it'll be like Mario 64. I'll play it for a little while, and then I'll get to some place that's really, really hard, and I will give up. And then it goes on the shelf, and I never play it again. Because it doesn't look like a fun, easy game for everybody that if you want to get 100%, then it gets challenging. But the base game is enjoyable for everyone. I don't think that's going to be the case with Mario Odyssey. Like, I don't think so. So then once it was over, I just went back on YouTube and watched the rest of it, skipping through the stuff that I just don't care about. Like, there's a bunch of 3DS RPGs coming from Atlas, but I'm like, no, I'm good, thank you. Because I'm still playing Utopia, which I found out is, like, epically long for some reason. And I'm like, what? So it just keeps going. But I am psyched that they're getting the new Professor Layton game. The one with his daughter, which is a mobile game. And it's already, I think it's already out on mobile. But it's like $20, and I'm willing to pay like $5 for a game on my phone or tablet, but, I mean, I'd prefer it to be free. But for something like an actual game, like, I'll pay like $5, but I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about paying $20 for a game that I'm going to play on my phone or tablet. If I'm going to pay $20, I'd rather have it on an actual dedicated gaming platform like my 3DS. So I'm psyched that it's coming on the 3DS. More puzzles, yay, brain teasers. So I'm excited for that. Unfortunately, it's like next month, and I'm like, damn. And I don't know, I mean, now that I hear how long Miitopia is, I'm going to have to, because I've just been sort of playing it casually, a little here, a little there on the train, and now I feel like I've got to buckle down and like really push through it. But we'll see. I'll probably not be getting Layton at launch. She'll have to wait a little while, but I will get that eventually. There's also, I got excited because I saw Apollo Justice, but that's not a new game. That's a remake of the DS Apollo Justice that I played like 10 years ago. It's great. I recommend it for fans of the Ace Attorney series, but I've already played it, so I don't have time for remakes. There's enough new to play. The other big game that everybody got all excited about is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Unfortunately, the beginning section, they're like, of the video where they're like, here's this land, and this is its economy, and this is its weather, and these are the... And I'm like, I don't care about that. Tell me, like, the story and stuff. Like, it was this weird intro to the world that was like a tour guide, and I'm just like, no. And I skipped ahead. And then I got to the part where they were like, okay, here's the story and the characters, and it's this boy, and he meets this girl, and he helps her to get to where she's got to go, and they have adventures along the way. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, that sounds like I could deal with that. And I like the art style. It's a little cartoony and kind of fun, and I like that. And then they explained the battle system, and they lost me. Because it's like an action RPG, and you're just bashing away at the enemy, and you have to, like, you have, like, a support character that's, like, feeding you power, so, like, sometimes it's attack power, and then sometimes it's healing power, and then sometimes it's another magic power or something, and it's, like, so, like, basically, as you're attacking, you've got to be, like, switching between your support characters, and then you've got other characters with their own support characters, and they're attacking, but they're attacking with AI, so they're just doing their own thing, and I don't know if you can actually manage them, maybe you can, I don't know, but it just looked like a lot. And I'm just like, this is not for me. Like, because I had tried to play the original Xenoblade Chronicles, everyone was raving about it, and at the time I feel like I was in the mood for an RPG, and I was at Nintendo World buying something else, and they actually had a handful of copies of it up behind the register, and I was like, ooh, like, you can't find this game anywhere. Let me get a copy of that while I see it, and I bought it. I mean, now that's not as much of an issue because everything is now available digitally, but back in the days of the Wii, that wasn't really a thing. Like, you weren't downloading games like that onto your Wii hard drive. Or memory card, I suppose. There wasn't really a hard drive in the Wii. So, not for that much space. And I tried playing it, and I just couldn't get into it. It was a combination of I couldn't get into the story and the characters, it wasn't very engrossing to me, and then also I wasn't crazy about the battle system, and I'm just like, this is not for me. And I don't even think I made it like a third of the way through. It's a bit sad. So I wasn't excited for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to start with, but I was willing to give it a shot. But now that I've seen this much of it, I'm just like, nope, this is not for me. Just like Super Mario Odyssey, this is not for me. It's too hardcore, it's too complex, it's not my bag. On the other hand, Project Octopath Traveler is definitely my bag. It's like, I mean, from the very beginning, when they first showed, like, a teaser of it, when they announced the Switch, I was enthralled by this, like, 2D, 3D hybrid graphics of, like, 16-bit sprites on, like, a polygon background that still looks, you know, 16-bit, but, like, with the tilt shift in the foreground and background to give it depth, and it's like you're looking at, like, this toy world with, like, little sprite characters on it, and I was obsessed with the graphics. I thought that looked amazing. And, super into it. And it seemed to be turn-based, which turn-based is a plus for me. I like traditional turn-based RPGs. And I was super excited because after looking at the video, I'm like, yeah. And then I was disappointed when they first said this will be out in 2018. I went, I gotta wait till next year? But then they were like, hey, but there's a demo that's out right now that you can download. So, like, since it was already after the Direct and I was watching it after the fact, I immediately, like, pulled out my Switch and, like, download. And it downloaded really quick, so I was surprised because I thought, oh, this is going to be a really short demo, because it downloaded really quickly. There's only 2 of the 8 characters available, and I picked Primrose the Dancer, and her story is messed up and a little raunchy. Like, there's some dialogue in there that makes me go, oh my goodness, is this rated M? It's obviously not rated M, because they're not going to release it. It'll be rated T. But I was like, this is a little sketchy for a T-rated game. Like, it's like these double entendres. And then not even subtle things, where he's talking about put your mouth to work, and if you please me, maybe I'll let you go. And I'm like, okay. But there's, like, the intro story section. Then she goes through a dungeon where you fight some random enemies. And then when you come out of the dungeon, you fight a boss. And I figured after the boss fight, it would be over. It's not. Now they're like, okay, wander off this way and go find the next town. Where I think in the next town, I haven't done this part yet. I've gotten to the town, and in this town, I think, is the other lead character that you can play in the demo. And I'm going to meet him, and then he'll become part of my story. And if you had played him, I assume he then works his way over to Primrose's town and rescues her, and they team up there. Like, that's what I understand the concept of the game is. There's 8 characters, you pick one, and then you see the story from their perspective. And then, I don't know if it's meant to be short, so that you can play it as each of the characters, because that's a lot of replay value, but I don't know how short it's going to be. This demo is super long. But I'm like, okay, so if another character intrigues me, maybe I might try playing it from their perspective just to get their full story instead of just backstory as a supporting character. But the demo's great. Loving the graphics. The battle system, turn-based, wonderful, super love it. Primrose has magic. She only has a dagger, but she has magic. But she can take somebody with her. She can use her allure to, like, seduce another character to come along with her, that she can then use temporarily in battle as a support character, and they will just sort of attack on their own when it's their turn. But then they leave after a certain number of turns, so it's limited. It's good. The problem was I had to do the boss battle multiple times because I kept dying, and it wasn't until after I died a few times that I suddenly, the special attacks finally clicked in my brain how they work. The tutorial just pops up a little screen. They're like, here's how this works. And I'm like, okay. It didn't quite gel because it wasn't as... they didn't explain it completely. So I didn't quite get it. But every time you attack, you gain a boost point. And then you can, after you've amassed some boost points, you can use a few of those on a turn to basically allow yourself additional attacks or to make your magic stronger. So I kept attacking the boss, and he would attack me back, but he would kick my butt, and I didn't have as many healing items as I should have. Or, you know. But then in the end, I didn't really need that many, because once I realized that I could attack a few times, get the boost points, and then all I needed to do was attack him, like, 3 times, and it would break down his... After you attack an enemy with what they're weak at, whether it's a knife, a sword, magic, etc., if you attack them enough times with that, it breaks their defense, and then they're stunned, and then you get a free turn, because they can't attack when they're stunned, and then you get a turn, and whatever you hit them with is going to do extra damage while they're stunned. So, basically, I had enough attacks where I could hit him 4 times with my dagger, break his defense, he'd be stunned, then I could zap him with a good magic bolt that would do twice as much damage. So, he didn't get in as many hits on me when I did it that way, because he was constantly stunned. So, once I figured that out, and I understood how the boost points work with the breaking of the defense and everything, it was a breeze. The boss fight went much easier. The game just wasn't very good at explaining it. I had to eventually figure it out on my own. Thank goodness I did. Otherwise, that would have been... If I had kept dying and not figured out how to do that, I might not want this game anymore, because I'd be frustrated and be like, what the hell's wrong with this game? Why is this so hard? Because I wouldn't want to play a game if it was going to be that hard. So far, thumbs up for Project Octopath Traveler. I'll have some more thoughts next week after I've played through more of the demo, and I've interacted with the other character and stuff. Also, it's okay that it comes out next year because they announced that SKYRIM is coming out in November. And I've been super excited to play SKYRIM on my Switch. I already have it for the 360, but I'm super excited to have that huge open world to adventure in whenever I want, wherever I am. Like, that's just amazing to me. So, I'm super psyched. I mean, part of me is like, I'm just gonna get it, and then part of me is like, well, maybe check the reviews just to see, because I know the game is good. I have it on the 360. I've played it. But I do feel like it's the kind of thing where, what if it's not good on the Switch? It should be, but what if it's not? So maybe I should check a review first? I'm totally getting it. Who am I kidding? Who am I kidding? So that was about it. I was super excited for those things in there, and hopefully we will find out more about Animal Crossing soon, because, come on. And then I also wanted to talk about, I know this is going long, I'm really sorry about this, but I don't want to wait until next week, I'll forget to mention stuff. So, the other thing is that I started a new game this week that actually pulled me out of No Man's Sky. Because other things, like I've said, I've tried other things like Assassin's Creed and Life is Strange. Nothing has really, like, made me not play No Man's Sky. I've always been going back to No Man's Sky. So, much to my surprise, there is something that... It's surprising that it pulled me out of No Man's Sky. Not surprising that they released it as a free PlayStation Plus game, because I'm surprised it already wasn't a free PlayStation Plus game, because it's, like, from launch. Infamous Second Son. It's a free game with PlayStation Plus right now, so I downloaded it, and I loved the first Infamous. So good. The second one was good until I think I made it like halfway through or so, and then suddenly they're like, okay, now you have new powers. And I had these ice powers, and I hated them, and it made you use them, and I'm just like, these suck, and I don't like them. And I played for a little while with the ice powers, and then it just killed my interest in the game. And I was like, no, and I put it down. And I said I would go back, and I never went back. So I'm enjoying the fire powers, but I'm hoping they don't do that kind of switcheroo in this game. If you've played it, tell me to warn me if they do a switcheroo like that, that's going to piss me off. And at least here, I didn't pay for it. I mean, I got Infamous 2, like, used, or whatever. It was like $20, $10 or $20 or something. So I was like, oh, it's fine, whatever. Actually, I think I might have gotten that for free. I think that might have been my free game after, like, there was a PSN outage for, like, a while, and they were like, you can have a free game to say I'm sorry. And I think that might have been the free game that I got. So, there. It's fine. But this is free, so if I do stop halfway through because it got annoying, I don't feel like I've wasted my money. But it's great. I'm enjoying it. I feel like it's weird because I feel like there should have been a little more tutorial as far as, like, how to do certain things. But at the same time, it's a sequel, so no, because you should know it, because you've played the earlier games. But I feel like you need to explain it, because people are going to be new. It's also funny because it's so desperately a launch title, because it's using the little thumb pad on the little touchpad on the controller so much. Also, there's like sound effects and shit coming out of the controller, and I forgot that there's a speaker, because I haven't played a PS4 game that uses that in so long, that like all of a sudden like it starts beeping and ringing and like doing stuff, and I'm like, oh right, there's a speaker in the controller. I forgot. But like there's all kinds of stuff where like you have to hold it sideways and shake it like a spray can and then pull the trigger to like spray paint stuff, and I'm just like, it's very gimmicky. So it's very clearly a launch title where they're like, let's use the gimmicks that we have with this new controller. And they've thankfully gotten away from that now, so it's better. Because it's like, it's just unnecessary, you know? It's like, why do I have to swipe to open up a cage door? Why can't I just push the action button? You know, it's just sort of, yeah, whatever. But I'm enjoying it so far. I've cleared one area of Seattle, so that's fun. And we'll see how long that lasts, because just as I was thinking, yay, I finally found something to get me to take a break from No Man's Sky, yesterday I saw that there was a new update to No Man's Sky. So I looked at the patch notes just out of curiosity, and I saw one patch note that made me go, nope, we're booting up No Man's Sky right now to test this out. sorry, Infamous, take a break. Because, as you might know from previous episodes where I have complained about this, they added in this, like, new mission with the Travelers. And I wanted to do that. So I said, let me go find this Traveler. The problem is that I should have done it right away, because where the system in which you receive the initial message is the one where you go and do all of this stuff. And the problem is, I'd already gone to another system and then through a black hole, and I was like 18,000 light years away, and I was basically jumping my way through to get to that system again, which was going to take forever because I'd gone through a black hole. But what they did was, if you are too far away from where a mission is going to take place, you can press R3 over the mission, and it will, like, reset the mission. I thought it might put me back in that system, but what it ended up doing was the system in which I was in, that's where the missions are. So it was as though I had just gotten the transmission in this system, and I could now continue the mission in the system in which I was in. So I was super excited about that, and I was like, oh my god, I can go and I can actually do this story and do these missions, and I'll have stuff to do in the system where I am. So that was super exciting, and I was like, oh, thank you, Hello Games. That's like the most important update that you could have possibly given to us in these patches. At least to me, because I was a fool and I didn't understand that I was supposed to do it all back there. So, yay. And I don't have to go all the way back, I can keep going from where I am. So, that's super awesome. The only problem is, now that I'm doing it, it's interesting because people complained that No Man's Sky had no story, it had no structure, but I liked that. I liked just wandering aimlessly and discovering things. So, to have this structure, it's interesting, but at the same time, I'm sort of like, because now I'm like, okay, I need to do something, like I have to get a location out of this Vy'keen person, but he won't talk to me because my status with the Vy'keen isn't high enough. Except for the fact that I've been playing this game for over a year, so my status with the Vy'keen is technically up here, but they're going by missions that you've completed for the Vy'keen, of which I have done none. So now I have to go back to the space station and basically do random missions in order to then go back to him and get the information I need. So now it's kind of turning into like, oh, I have to do that now, and it's like you have to do things, and I'm not really thrilled with that. It's sort of the antithesis of what I love about No Man's Sky. Also, I'm hoping that after I do this, it'll send me to a new system, because that's I like seeing the new systems and going to new places. Like, after I visited every planet in the system, thankfully this is a system that's got like 4 or 5 planets in it, so there's a little bit of variation going on. But I hope that this entire mission doesn't take place in one system, because I want to keep going to other places. We'll see what happens there. But yes, it has sucked me back into No Man's Sky. So now I'm like, crap, I kind of want to play Infamous, but I also kind of want to play No Man's Sky, because there's stuff to do in No Man's Sky now. And I'm torn. So, yeah, so busy week, and I'm going to shut up now because this is probably like one of the longest ones I've ever done where I haven't had guests and stuff to talk about. This is just me rambling for longer than I've ever rambled before. But I told you there was a lot to talk about. So come back next time when I'll probably have much less to talk about, and it will be like 10 minutes. I promise. We're not going to do this again. See you then. Bye!